welcome, 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 you all. We are so pleased to see you tonight, and welcome to another edition of The Back Room with this absolutely fabulous panel of authors, and I cannot wait to introduce them to you tonight. So many wonderful authors and so many fantastic books, and it'll be such a wonderful evening. I'm your host for this evening, Hank Philippi Ryan, the USA Today bestselling novelist, author of 15 going on 16 novels of suspense. My newest book is One Wrong Word, attractively displayed on the door behind me because that's, of course, what we do. And my upcoming book is All This Could Be Yours, which comes out this time next year from Minotaur, and I'm very excited about that. I'm also the winner of 5 Anthony's, 5 Agathas, and the Mary Higgins Clark Award. And as investigative reporter for Boston's Channel 7, have won 37 Emmys for investigative reporting. So finally, let me introduce these authors to you now, and I will do it in alphabetical order. So just wave when I call your name. Our first author is Jess Armstrong. She is Hey, Jess. She is the USA Today bestselling author of the Ruby Vaughn Mysteries. Her debut novel, The Curse of Penrith Hall, won the Mystery Writers of America Minotaur First Crime Novel Competition. And her newest book, The Secret of the Three Fates, hold that up, which comes out on Tuesday. Congratulations. She has a master's degree in American history, she says, but prefers to write about imaginary people rather than the real thing. Jess lives in New Orleans with her historian husband, 2 sons, a yellow cat, speckled dog, and the world's most pampered school fair goldfish. Our next author tonight is Ande Pliego. Ande is the author of the thriller debut, You Are Fatally Invited, which comes out in February. So you are hearing about it here first, and this book will be all the buzz. It is a satirical locked room mystery that, listen to this, that follows a writer's retreat for thriller authors gone terribly wrong. I hope that is not set tonight here. When not reading or writing, Ande can usually be found dabbling in art, scheming up her next trip, or making constant expeditions to the library. Born in Florida and raised in France, Ande is settled in the Pacific Northwest, USA, with her craftsman husband and little son. Welcome, Ande. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here.
We're so excited about it. I can't wait to read your book. Del Sandeen. Hi, Del. Lives
Hey,
in
hi
Northeast
everybody.
Florida. Hey. Where she works as a writer and copy editor. Her work has appeared in Faya, Speculative Literary Magazine, Uncanny Magazine, Nightlight Podcast, and Gay Magazine. She writes speculative fiction with a focus on Southern Gothic horror. This Cursed House, she's holding it up perfect, as her debut novel, and it is out right now, so you don't have to wait another minute to get it. Well, you do. Just don't go now, or open up another tab. But anyway, she got a fantastic review in the New York Times today, calling her an author to watch. So we are all celebrating Del Sandeen. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. So happy to be here, everybody. Thank you.
Do you need another copy of the magazine? I can send it to
No,
you.
no, but thanks, Hank.
Anytime. And our last author tonight is the fabulous Sharon Short. Hey, Sharon. Sharon is the award-winning author of 15 published books. Her newest, out Tuesday from Minotaur, hold that up, is Trouble Island, already lauded by Aline Cogdell, in which a woman on the lam in 1933 on a gangster's island must solve a murder to save her own life, just as a winter storm locks down the island in the middle of Lake Erie. And it is partly inspired by true family history. So you're going to want to ask her about that. Short is a contributing editor to Writer's Digest, for which she writes the column Level Up Your Writing Life. And she teaches for Writer's Digest University. She lives in Ohio with her family. Welcome, Sharon. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So we will start tonight, as usual, with our not quite 20 questions. As I said, really 12. And I will ask the questions in the order that I see you on the screen. So Ande, that makes you first. Okay, what was your first job?
Ooh, as a French translator for a children's book.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it was, oh man, I was in my teens. It was a family friend who was just writing a children's book that she wanted to translate into French, and I grew up in France for most of my growing up years. So I, as a teenager, was like, sure, I'd love to take the job. So I did it, and yeah, I haven't heard much of what's gone on for what's happened with it, but I know that she sent it to a bunch of people that she knew who spoke French who really wanted it in French. So yeah, just a fun little. I guess you could say that was my first also publishing.
That's really
thing. So,
cool.
yeah.
Most of the time when I ask that question, people say, "Oh, I worked at Dairy Queen." So
Right.
when I translated books from French into whatever. I'm like,
Right.
Del Sandeen, welcome.
Thank you.
Thinking of your most recent book, did the title ever change?
Yes, that is a great question. My original title was The Poison Tree. And after we got a deal with Penguin, um, I mean, time went on for a while, so I was like, maybe I'll get to keep that title. But then they came back, and they were like, well, this title is too metaphorical. So, can you give us some ideas, for something else? And we hadn't announced the deal yet. And because I really wanted whatever the final title was, to be in the deal announcement, my agent and I just like brainstormed really quickly and sent them a list of titles, maybe like 6 or 8 new titles over, I think the same day. And they said, okay, this cursed house is it. So yeah, that's what
It is
happened.
pretty evocative. Are you happy with it?
I am happy because that was one of my picks. And so yeah, I think they just wanted something that just said, this is horror, so you know what you're getting into. So that was why.
That's great. Oh, that's great. I mean, these are random questions, so that's cool that you got that one.
Yeah.
Sharon Short, describe one thing on your desk and tell us why it's important to you.
Oh, wow. There's so many things on my desk. But I'm going to go with a postcard that our younger daughter made when she was probably 20 or so. And she was leading canoeing trips in the Boundary Waters, and she decided she would make a postcard out of birch bark. And she had told me she was going to make this postcard and mail it to us. And I said, well, that's fantastic, but I don't think the post office will deliver a birch bark postcard, but they did. And so that just reminds me, have the joy and the faith of a 20-year.
That's true. That's true. And the intrepidness of the post office. I mean, that must have been some conversation for them back at the
Yes.
definitely so. Jess Armstrong, what I can't believe you got this question, but what was your first pet?
Oh gosh, it wasn't, well, I don't think it's a goldfish. I actually think it was a cat. It was my sister's cat. It was a white cat, and his name was Casper. So that I think was my first pet. The first pet that it was my own, I think was also a cat. I clearly have cats. I'm a cat person, I think.
We found this out. This is my intrepid investigative reporting. We've discovered this. Now that's great. Was it in New Orleans? Did you grow up in New Orleans?
No, I actually grew up in the Carolinas. So this cat we had when I was living in Charlotte. We lived in Charlotte for like 10 years when I was a kid.
Because right now, what we're going to do is hear from all of these authors about what books they would recommend to you, what books they love and they are reading. And Ande, we will start with you.
Yes. So the book I picked to recommend is called How to Kill a Guy in 10 Ways. And if that sounds a little bit like a riff off of How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, it's playing off of that, but it is just a brilliant thriller about a girl who may accidentally end up becoming a serial killer and doesn't mean to, but there she is. And the dark humor in it is so snarky. The voice is just delightful. A fabulous mashup with a darkly comical story. So highly, highly recommend if you like kind of slightly zany humor to go with your thrills.
To go with your death, right? I love that.
Go with the death. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
How to Kill a Guy in 10 Ways. And what's the author's name?
The author is Eve Kellman.
Right.
So
Thank you. We will
fabulous book. Everybody should read it.
Del, what's your author and book?
Okay, my recommendation is Model Home by Rivers Solomon. It is a horror story. It's a haunted house story, but not your typical haunted house story. It's about a family. They move into this exclusive suburb of Dallas, Texas. They are, I believe, the only Black family in the suburb. And it was a case where the parents were really trying to give their children a better life, but it really ends up being worse. If you've ever read River Solomon, their writing style is very, I don't know, it's very haunting and just really beautiful. But the story itself is pretty unsettling, and it's not just about the house, but it's also about family and dysfunction, in the family. So it's not as light of a read as Andy's pick, but it's a good one. I liked this one.
That sounds great. And you have the house theme, and Sharon has the island theme. It's
Yes.
totally going for theme. Jess, what about you? Oh no, Sharon, let's do you next.
So mine is The Rumor Game by Thomas Mullen, and it is a historical mystery, and it's set in during World War II, but it's home front Boston. And so I love this setting. I love the era, and it toggles between a man who's in the FBI, the newly formed, and he's trying to find, people who are basically on the side of the Nazis and sabotaging the American effort, and a young female reporter. So it's a really interesting take on World War II.
That sounds great. Aline is weighing in that she loved the rumor game as well. And Janet Innes says, to someone, that sounds great. Perhaps that was to Del. So lots of people are loving your choices here this evening. Jess, what are you choosing?
So mine is another historical mystery. It is The Specimen by Jama Fixon. And this is like, I'm obsessed with the cover. It's like, there's like needlepoint. So the organs are needlepoint. I don't know if you can see that, but it's like very pretty. This one is set in Edinburgh in the 19th century. And this book is loosely based off the Burke and Hare serial killers, which were these two men that went and they would kill people and harvest their organs or their bodies for the anatomy schools in Edinburgh. And the heroine in this is a mother whose child goes missing. And so it's a little dark, but it's so beautifully written, and it has some Telltale Heart vibes and supernatural elements. And it is just, I read this, like, normally I'm like, oh, this seems like this might be a little too much, a little too scary for me, because I'm very much I need my happy, uplifting book. But oh my gosh, I could not put this book down. So it is like, I love this book.
Wasn't that fun? We hope you enjoyed that taste of what a backroom session is like. But more fun comes immediately afterward. That's when the audience is broken up into 4 breakout rooms, and each author in turn visits each room. We'd love to show you what a breakout session is like, because those relaxed face-to-face conversations between best-selling authors and readers are the hallmark of backroom events. But breakout sessions are never recorded, because what's said in the back room stays in the back room.